Why you should be hosting workshops. Hey, I'm Donnie Bovine, the CEO and founder of Success Champion Networking and author of the new book, Fuck to Focused. This is Growth Mode, a podcast all about growing and scaling your business. Hanging out with me as always is Kevin Snow, the sales automation tactician and genius. And in this episode, we're going to talk a lot about how workshops have done a lot to build our companies. So, man, the first time I got introduced really to workshops was when I was doing networking and commercial printing, doing commercial printing. And even though I had a really shit show start of learning how to network, I eventually figured a lot of things out and had a fascinating thing happen to me. One of the presidents over several chapters of the groups I attended came up to me and said, "Man, you really seem to have figured this networking stuff out. Would you ever consider teaching this in front of a room?" And I said, "Well, I'm not really a teacher. I'm not really an instructor, trainer type person." I said, "I don't have any problems getting in front of the room. I just don't know what I'd be teaching because I don't know exactly what I'm doing." She goes, "Why don't you write down a few things, figure out some things that you've figured out, and come back and teach. And in a couple of weeks, we'll put you up to teach it." And I said, "All right, we'll give it a go." So I come back and teach. And of course, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing teaching. Never really done it before. But I just walk through kind of 5 or 6 things that I don't want to say I figured out or discovered because I'm sure they were already out there. I just found them to work for me. And afterwards, people walked up to me like that was the greatest thing they'd ever heard. And it blew me away that something so simple what people were fascinated about. Even more surprisingly was the 2 deals I landed after that workshop to do commercial printing for people. And I was just blown away that here I was teaching networking, and I'll still tell you this day, anybody who teaches networking is just a broke fucker that can't sell. But even getting to the point of teaching that workshop, I closed 2 new commercial printing clients. And from that moment on, I've always found that being able to be the person in front of the camera, on the stage, in front of the room, whatever, is one of the best sales strategies you'll ever find in the whole damn world. But I saw you biting at your freaking lip ready to say something, so jump in, fucker.
No, I was just going to give you crap because I'm like, does he not remember that we run a networking organization and we're always teaching people how to network? So
Yeah, but from a different perspective, we ain't teaching the stupid shit that a lot of dumbasses teach out there.
So no, that always just makes me giggle when you say that. I'm like, really? That's not our branding. We can sell. Stop telling people we can't. So as coming from the introvert side, and this is going to shock everyone who's an introvert that's listening, I completely agree. You need to be out in front of people and giving workshops and being up in front teaching is an amazing way to do it, because you get to share your stories and you get to weave in what you do into what you're teaching. So now you're really training your team on what you do and how you do it, and how you help people without being a slimy salesperson. You're not doing I still remember going to like Zig Ziglar presentations and Brian Tracy and Tom Hoskins and all those guys, and they give you
Your
like,
age is showing a little bit.
yeah, I am being an
Hey, don't
authentic
mind me.
who
I'm
I
over
am.
here just putting on fucking tattoo cream. I got new tattoos and they're fucking itching like a motherfucker, so I'm over
And
here putting on cream.
so, but I'd go there and they'd give you like 45 minutes of really bad sales advice. And then they'd spend the next 45 minutes of their hour-and-a-half session pitching their stuff.
Yeah.
And that's given people this bad feeling about what a workshop is. When really, if you create it correctly and you put in a ton of content, you're teaching and you're giving while you're up on the stage or on the screen, people are going to be, they're going to be drawn in. They're going to eat it up. I've done multiple workshops, both for networking and sales stuff, where it's been really basic content, or at least to me, I thought it was really basic content. But I made it so that they all understood it and could apply it really quickly. And they're like, oh my God, this is awesome. This was the best workshop we've ever been to. And everyone thinks it's got to be this, mind blowing, world changing concept that you have to teach. It doesn't. It
Yeah.
has to be something that they're not doing right now, that they're going to hear and say, oh my God, why am I not doing that? That's amazing. And I'm going to start doing it.
Yeah, I remember the exact workshop where I learned how to do workshops. I was with Sandler Training, and there was a gentleman who put on a workshop about social media. And this is me showing my age. This is when social media, just started becoming a thing that people were going to do and use it to leverage their business. And this guy was putting on a social media workshop, and I think at the time there was like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Right, that was like the only games in town. Instagram wasn't a thing. There was no TikTok. But
I mean,
I went there,
you were past MySpace.
yeah, just by a minute. Oh, I know when MySpace was out there, but I never got into it. That's one that I never got into. But I think it came out while I was in the Marine Corps. Is part of the reason, but. Um, I went to this workshop, and this dude gets up and he's running, I don't know, it's either 2 or 4 hour workshop, but he's teaching everything in social media. And he's taking you step by step through every platform, how to post, when to post, how to get people to talk, how to get business from it. I mean, it's insane. I remember having one of those yellow legal notepads, and I'm just wearing my fucking wrist out trying to fucking write down all these damn notes of everything. And I filled up pages and pages of notes. And when the workshop got done, I walked right up to the guy who happened to name me Fred, and I walked to Fred and I was like, "Dude, you're a fucking idiot." And he's like, "Okay, why am I a fucking idiot?" I'm like, "You just gave me everything your business does, down to the minute detail of how and when I should do it." And he's like, "I did." And I'm like, well, why the fuck would I hire you? I've got all the information. He goes, you know what I love about this? I'll talk to you in 7 days. And I remember laughing at his ass saying, I'm like, yo, I'll talk to you in 7 days. Get the fuck out of here, right? And so I go back to my then business partner and I'm like, dude, I've got it figured out. Here's our social media plan. Here's everything that we're going to do. I've got us freaking rocking. We're going to start getting business off social media. He's like, rock and fire, man. Let it happen. I spent like 8 hours that first day building out all the social media stuff, man. Grinding through it, getting it all done. When I got done, I was fucking stoked. And then I realized I was going to have to come back the next fucking day and probably spend about another 8 fucking hours doing all tomorrow's shit. Fred's fucking card was sitting on my table. I called him up, and when he answered and I said who it was, he starts fucking laughing at me. He's like, dude, you didn't even make it like 48 hours. I'm like, get your ass to my office. Let's talk and figure out how to get this done. And what I learned, man, is give it all away. It does a couple of things. One, we'll go. I'll get back to that. Workshops you need to fucking avoid. We need to talk about that. But, one, freaking, by giving it all away, it allows you to pre-qualify a lot of people you don't want to work with. Because all the fucking DIYers are like who I was, were like, fuck it, I'll do it myself and go. You don't want them motherfuckers because they're the broke dick assholes that are just gonna DIY. And if they were to hire them, they're so broke that they're just gonna be a pain in the ass. And two, by giving it all away, you show off your expertise and knowledge. And the people that are really proactively looking for you and your services are going to raise their fucking hand and say, hey, let's get to work and get some shit done.
I remember the first workshop I did that just finally made sense to me, and that really kind of got me hooked into the speaking and the workshop thing. And I walked 50 plus people through this whole process of figuring out exactly what you do for your clients, putting together a plan for that organization was 60-second commercials for your sales manager's minute, and then teaching them how to actually write a authentic, really good 60 seconds that actually got people to start passing you referrals. And it was really cool because people were engaging, they were asking questions, they were volunteering, and it was fun. And being the introvert who hated public speaking class in high school and somehow tested out of it so I didn't have to do it in college, thank God. uh, I was like, wow, all right, so this is actually kind of
You
cool.
wuss.
I did.
You wuss.
I tested out. I got advanced placement for public speaking. I was like, I don't know how this happened, but I'll take it. 3 free credits.
He's so scared of freaking public speaking back then that he gets so good at it that he can test the fuck out of it. That's funny.
Yeah, in high school I did oral interpretation, because
I'm glad you explained that. All I heard is oral terp, and I had no idea what the fuck oral terp is,
oral.
but it didn't sound good in my head.
Yeah, so and I, instead of doing like one of the easy ones, I picked uh, the public speaking one where you had to memorize this 8 to 10 minute speech, and they never gave you fun ones to learn. It was always like something from the Civil War where they talked funny, and so yeah, so I really hated public
Wait,
speaking.
what do you? Hold on, now I'm fascinated. What do you mean they talk funny?
How they put together like their adjectives and sentence structure. 4 score and 7 years ago.
Oh,
That
all right, all right. So you actually had to like read the way it was fucking
I
written.
had to learn to speak it the way they did, and the sentences didn't make sense to me. So uh,
God damn! Now I want to go find a fucking something that's written that way, just so you can fucking
I
give
may
us a prime example of your skill set. Fucking where? What year? What era was that?
so anyway, back to our topic. Doing that workshop and actually getting the people to have real cool engagements with you and actually interacting and asking questions, and then coming up afterwards saying, oh my God, that was amazing, this is going to have a huge impact on my business, is really cool. And I got business out of that too. And it was really cool. And I was like, oh, crap, how do I do more of these?
Right. I remember my first workshop I did with Sandler Training. My business partner back then, he looked at me and said, "All right, you're going to do this one." And so I studied all the material, and I don't study before speeches, right? But I studied all the material. I went through the PowerPoint, and I was fucking locked and loaded, man. I was going to freaking just crush it doing this damn workshop. And we had 20 to 25 CEOs of some good sized companies sitting in the room. And I'm up there and they're nodding along. They're into the conversation. Somewhere about 45 minutes to a 2 hour presentation, I got all up in my head. I started freaking out. I started thinking these motherfuckers aren't paying attention to me. And I started, going. And next thing you know, I look at my then business partner. I'm like, and Scott's going to finish it all. I hand it all to him and I walked the fuck out of the workshop. And he looked at me and goes, well, I guess I'll take it from here as I walked out. And after the presentation, I came back in to shake hands with all the things. And Scott asked me afterwards, he's like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, dude, I totally lost my shit. I just freaked the fuck out. He goes, well, luckily I've been teaching this shit for years and I could pick it up. But yeah, I totally lost my shit and just walked out. But here's the thing that I can tell you, just like to Kevin's point. One, doing workshops, whether they're virtual or in person, I mean, we've all seen it. The complete idiot or moron on stage that we personally know has no business being up there teaching anything. But since they're on stage, talking, or they're on a Zoom talking, people will think that this person just knows their shit and they get this weird form of clout. So that's one reason. But two, uh, when you are up there on stage, you get a perception of being the expert in something or knowledgeable on something, and people will lean into that. And sometimes it's because they're not brave enough to get up there and speak themselves, so they're in awe that you can do it. But the other times is if you've broken down the knowledge in very simple tactics and strategies they can implement, they're grateful for the knowledge and things they can do. That's why, like at the Badass Business Summit, we set it up so you're not taking notes and then going home and doing it. You're tactically doing the things during the summit. So by the time you leave, they're already implementing and running, and that's just the way I've always wanted to do things. So workshops and right now, LinkedIn is a fucking gold mine. I mean, we do a free open workshop first Friday of every month where, we just put it up and we get 150, 200 people registered there and gets everywhere between 40 and 60 people showing up to a free workshop. And we always turn those into new members of our networking groups or new people starting chapters. I mean, it's crazy, all from using a free platform. So if you're not using LinkedIn to do workshops, you are seriously missing out on a huge opportunity. But I want to talk a little bit about. I think we've told them why they need to do it. Let's talk a little bit about best
Yep.
practices. Some of the things that they should really be focused on. But first, I found a letter I want you to read. That no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I really wish I could. I googled really quick, but I couldn't find anything. But let's talk about best practices and things that they need to actually put on a killer workshop. And this may lead into another episode down the road where we talk about how to put on a killer workshop. We'll go through some of the highlights now. So for you, Kevin, what are some of the badass things that you need to put on a good workshop?
So to put on a good workshop, you have to have stuff built in where you get the audience engaging with you. There has to be that give and take, that back and forth between everyone that's listening to what you're saying and you. If you're up there and you're just hiding behind a PowerPoint and you're just reading off those slides, it's not going to be nearly as effective. Donnie is
Agreed.
still literally googling something for me to read.
No, no, no. I'm actually putting the episode of how to do a great workshops in there as well. So for me, a lot of it comes down to, if I want to get really tactical. First and foremost, you got to figure out what you're teaching. Second, you got to come up with a fucking ridiculous headline. And this is something we've played with over the years and tested and tried different things. But you got to literally be able to have something that grabs somebody's attention. And you got to think about, when you write that title specifically, who are you writing it for and who do you need to show up? And I found this back doing sales training, that if I wrote, a title that said, how to do cold calls or how to get past gatekeepers or, how to prospect, I'd fill a room with full of salespeople. If I did a workshop that was how to network or how to go to events and the likes, I got a lot of salespeople. But if I got a workshop like, why salespeople fail, I'd start getting middle management. If I get, how to lead your team of salespeople, I'd start getting middle management. How to get over your own head trash as a sales manager, you start getting management. If you started doing workshops of how to create a sales culture, you start getting CEOs, right? So you really have to think about the angle of what and who you're writing to with your topics. And then for me, everything is steps. If you can break things down into a simple acronym or step, and I do this a lot in Champions Table with people when they're struggling to come up with content, for their workshop, I'm like, whoa, what's your topic? What do you want to talk about? And they'll say X, Y, Z. I'm like, cool. What are 5 things to do X, Y, and Z? And they're blown away how quickly they can come up with 5 things. And then it's just a matter of elaborating on those things. The other thing that I think is really, really key is you got to finish every workshop with the lessons learned and takeaways. I think it's a monster move to make sure, because during those lessons learned, for me, it's the most important part, because those lessons learned are where, one, you'll get a little validation. Did you teach and train the right shit? But two, you're going to watch everybody around the room or screen get the head nod when they hear somebody else's takeaway. And it's like a reminder of something they learned.
Yeah, I agree with all those. There needs to be some sort of, you're teaching some sort of process. So it really makes sense as they're going through it, that the step 1 you teach then leads into step 2, then into step 3, and it becomes this flow that they're like, oh, this makes sense to me. When you're teaching things, and we look at that a lot when we're putting together workshops of, all right, so is this the right order? of how things need to be presented. Is this actually going to work in their brain? Is it going to flow from topic to topic, or is it going to cause this hard stop in their thinking? So, that's those steps are really key in having that process so things flow into each other and you have that natural transition. Because at a certain point, they're going to ask you a question. You're going to be like, that is an awesome question. That's actually the next thing. Let's move on to that. And you now get them moving it through the process naturally, as opposed to you imposing a process on them.
For sure. For sure. Another key point that we found out when I gave a keynote down in San Antonio, Texas, is have a cool call to action. So, as I went down there, Kevin's like, "Hey, why don't we try this text messaging thing with our program? You can actually, get them to send a text to a number, and we can give them something." I'm like, "All right, let's try it." We'd never done it before, and I gave a speech to about 150 people in the recycling industry. And when I got to the end, I'm like, "Hey, if you text the word success to 817-318-6030, we'll send you some stuff." And what we get, like 115 people out of the
Yep.
150 or something, sensed, and then like 90 people then responded and gave us their email so we could correspond with them. I mean, it was like a killer. Now we had all these people into our email systems and everything else. So, and that's really Kevin's sweet spot at all those call to action type things. But it worked really
I
well for
really thought
us.
you were going to say you have to come up with a really cool word that's going to help you remember your presentation.
Acronym that you have to remember though. Fucking God, if you haven't heard that, I tried to do my own acronym, which was relax, and I fucked up my own acronym and spelled Rex versus relax, and the crowd didn't even stop me. They just let me keep going, and then I caught myself halfway through and went, "Shit, I missed two of the letters." And then for the longest time, everybody inside the Success Champions called me Rex. That was my nickname for a while. And then just a couple of things to know if you're in a really shitty, like if you go attend a workshop, things to do to instantly get out of. If you go to a workshop and it's done webinar style where you can't interact and talk to people and the likes, dude, instantly leave it because it's just a sales pitch. They're just going to try and pitch you the things. If there's not like a scheduled laid format about how it's going to go, get out. They're just going to try and pitch you the things. And for me, attending workshops, it's kind of twofold. One, hopefully you get some good knowledge, but more important for me, it's all about the networking. And if you're going to attend a workshop, freaking make sure you have your contact stuff on a copy and paste notepad that you can drop it in there so you can connect with people and open
Yeah,
doors.
for me, the ones not to attend are the ones with the title that sounds like they're giving you the easy button. You know,
Right.
six,
3 hacks to
yeah, 3 hacks to
fucking
do this. Increase your closing by 600%. All those. I got an
I became ran a multi 7-figure business in 6 months,
Yeah,
and you can
I,
too.
I I had an ad pop up on my Instagram this week that I'm going to be talking about at some point on social media, and it was how to get anyone to say yes. I'm like, oh my god, that can you be any more manipulative in your title and what you're trying to teach in sales? You are exactly the reason that no one.
Well, the yeah, the subline should have said, the subtitle should have said, "And this is why I'm a
Yep.
fucking douche canoe." Um, oh, yeah, it's always look at a workshop you're attending and go, are they trying to teach me something, or are they actually just trying to sell me shit? And um, you'll be blown away by using just that clarifier how many you won't attend from here on out. So I think the biggest takeaways from this, guys, is do damn workshops. You're missing out if you're not doing the workshops. And when you conduct workshops, think about on the title, who's it for? Who's getting it? Think about the process, the steps, the flows, and the likes, and then have fun and deliver value. And if you're attending workshops, make sure they're workshops where you can actually network and learn, not a place where somebody's just going to pitch you their shit. And we also learned that Kevin loves to read in funny voices
I
and
don't think that is
shit.
actually.
So we will get that done one of these episodes. You
I
mark
don't
my
think that
words.
is
So,
actually anything that we
um,
learned today.
so But he likes oral turds. No, what was it you said?
Oral
What was the other thing?
interpretation was the program.
Oh, oral terps. That's what it
Also,
was. Oral terps. I
no,
was
not
close with
not
turds.
you weren't close at all.
Too funny. So, as always, guys, if you get any tips, tricks, any value out of this episode, do us a favor and make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Share this off with one friend. And man, we just appreciate all the emails and messages you guys send in. So keep doing it and love you, mean it. See you. Bye.